Hi everybody, I'm going to share some really important information and please share this video far and wide. I don't make videos for the fun of it. I make them because we're in an urgent situation. I'm trying to get information out. I work by vocation on behalf of the vulnerable and especially children and animals, our environment, the elderly. Okay? I am deeply concerned about what is happening to our country and what the people presently face. And I've been concerned about a long time. I was asked in May last year to write this by a Remain group. Why? Because of the seriousness, the severity of the situation. And I'll leave you the link to it. After it was sent to the EU, explaining to the EU that in no uncertain terms that they cannot have a hard border across Ireland because it goes against democracy, and it's basically Brexit is being employed to scrap the Good Friday Agreement, and that cannot be allowed to happen. But after this hard Brexit, who's to say what this government's going to do? Oh, they'll agree to a border in the sea, but who's to say that the troubles in Ireland will not be, we won't see a resurgence of them, probably commandeered by agent provocateurs, that then, oh, there's going to have to be a hard border across Ireland. Scrap the border in the sea, scrap the Good Friday Agreement. You know, we are in very, very dangerous times. And this government that is right now in office is a threat. They are a national security threat. And I made videos last year to the security services explaining the law to them, and that actually even an attack against our parliament, which is our democracy, an attack against our economy, these things amount to issues of national security. And we are dealing with people who are actually betting against our economy. With this man at the helm, a thoroughly horrible character. What he's doing at number 10, we really don't know. I would like to see police investigations into him, and in fact, they're all of the Tory ministers, government that's hanging around him that he is at the centre of. He's there for one reason only, to get Brexit done, okay? We're talking about a $65 trillion market. Hedge fund managers are extremely powerful and influential, with the top 400 companies controlling 65 trillion. Well, that's going to go up, isn't it? They just closed down every single independent British business virtually over an alleged pandemic that we now know is actually a total fraud. You know, it's all presented here. It's a fraud. Okay? Check the coronavirus bill that they've given themselves powers on. Check my article that exposes all the legal discrepancies in this document, as well as the attack against our human rights, the ethical issues to do with it in terms of giving powers to the NHS medics actually to kill us even with experimental treatment and be non-liable. Okay, you know, these things are not, this isn't a conspiracy theory. We are dealing with conspiracy facts. And it does concern me greatly that I'm looking online, I'm seeing people say, you know, as it's coming out, the dangers of American food, that food that's actually banned in the EU, but oh, we're scrapping all EU health and safety regulations, so yeah, in come American food. People don't understand, one, it's going to take 5 years to get a deal because they've not even started on it yet. Okay, so it's going to be 5 years negotiations for a deal with America. In that 5 years, We've got no deals with any other country. So all the people out there who were thinking that you could avoid American food, well, first of all, there isn't likely to be any American food available within the next 2 or 3 years for you to avoid. And there's not going to be, when it does arrive, you're not going to have any choice, because we've lost the 168 trade deals that we have with every country on this planet through the EU, you see. So you won't be able to buy anything. Now, you know, you might be able to stockpile for what, 3 months? Can you stockpile for 5 years? What about your pets? What about your medicines? What about your pet medicines? What about every single product that you buy and use right now being unavailable for 5 years? Can you stock up on your disinfectants, your toilet rolls? They are going to have this country like Venezuela. Why do you think that they have planned for martial law? Okay, why have they planned for martial law? Why? Matt Hancock confirmed the government was drawing up plans to impose martial law and curfews in a no-deal Brexit. Okay? Why? Martial law usually comes after a coup d'etat. And as I've explained repeatedly, and as many people have explained repeatedly, that we are living under a coup. This whole Tory government is a coup. We now have lawful evidence to support lawful suspicion of a rigged election. All the evidence is here, thanks to Nikki Coxon here, who's put it together. And, you know, they rigged it through the postal vote. We even had BBC involvement in that, leaking, postal vote's looking bad for Jeremy Corbyn. It's come through Dominic Raab. How does Dominic Raab know what the postal vote results are the day before the election? Why was it leaked through the BBC? What, to prepare the British public for defeat? Look at the postal vote, 2015, 2017. Look at how it doubled in 2019. Look who's controlling IDOCS, who's controlling the company. Why did the Cabinet Office rush through procurement of controversial electoral services company IDOCS just before the general election? And this was published 7th of January 2020. And when you look at the 65 trillion market that is riding now, the bets that have been hedged against our economy. Yes, we are looking at a pound crashing to the value in real terms of 25p. That what you can buy for £2.50 now, it will cost you £10 in the future. That if you're earning £10 an hour now, that wage will be reduced in real terms to £2.50. Is that what people voted for? Why haven't the BBC told you about it? Why haven't the BBC made it very, very clear, or even questioned the government instead of attacking Jeremy Corbyn over a pack of lies about anti-Semitism? Why weren't they asking this government about why they feel they have no legal responsibility for securing our food supplies in an emergency? Neither fire, flood, disease, epidemic, conflict, supply chain disruption, nor no-deal Brexit. Why weren't the BBC asking questions about that? So, of course the government need martial law, don't they? Because people are going to be very, very angry because they've not been warned. They've not been told reality, not by the BBC, not by anybody. There you go. Martial law is an extreme and rare measure used to control society during war or periods of civil unrest or chaos. Martial law could be declared in event of food and medical shortages following a no-deal Brexit, causing unrest, civil disobedience and rioting. Well, at this very moment in time, after this criminal lockdown, over an actually minimal risk, in fact, the lockdown itself has killed as many, if not more actually, people than the virus. That's the fact. Because, let's face it, half the people who have been listed as dying of COVID-19 actually didn't die of COVID-19 at all. But it's been stamped on their death certificate. We know it. It's been shown to us, the evidence, time and time again. They've even admitted it. If you die with coronavirus, you died of coronavirus. And coronavirus means COVID-19. You know, we're talking literally spells with words, misusing words, telling people that coronavirus means COVID-19, writing a bill, an act of parliament called the coronavirus bill, and in that bill claiming that coronavirus means COVID-19 when it doesn't. It's a medical term that covers even the common cold. That's all they're testing for. They are not testing for COVID-19. Anybody who even shows some symptoms of so much as a common cold is ordered into quarantine for 2 weeks in their home. A lot of the people who've had COVID-19 stamped on the death certificates haven't even been tested for even coronavirus. They've not had a test. We know it's been happening. This doctor himself has spoken out, as have many doctors. This is an NHS doctor. You know, as is said in this article, COVID deaths, how accurate are the statistics? I'll leave you a link to his blog site. Go through his blogs. This is a doctor. Are you going to listen to Dominic Cummings and Johnson and the BBC, or are you going to listen to your medical doctors? Are you going to believe what's written in 2 official documents written by the government? And this was in 2019. It was published, because I've shared it in my links from 2019 in these documents. Intel for Brexit, read that. Read Addressing the Trials and Tribulations of COVID-19, another WordPress article. You can see all my WordPress articles at the right hand side here. Why do I write them? I don't monetize anything. Why? I'm sharing this information. I don't care what your politics are. I don't care if you voted Brexit, if you voted to remain. I care about your rights. I care about your children's rights. I care about you having access to food and medicine, the basics. Because, you know, as far as I'm concerned, we are all universal human beings and we all look out for one another. We don't judge each other when it comes to respecting and upholding and standing up for each other's human rights. It is a very, very serious issue when you're looking at lawful evidence supporting a rigged election, and that does mean there needs to be arrests and investigations. And why didn't any of the mainstream media cover it? Instead, oh, we've all been distracted by coronavirus, lockdowns, our economy destroyed, just in readiness for Brexit. They've already got us trained for queuing for our rations. You will be queuing for rations. There will be food banks. We'll all be queuing. The vast majority of people with no jobs. Businesses collapsed. We're looking at the next thing to come along is the banking and building society bail-in. That means the banks and the building societies help themselves to your savings, to your pensions, your trust funds, your properties. What else can they take off us? How do you gain power over a people? You make them poor. You make them homeless. You transform the benefit system. Actually, we're back to the workhouse. You want to eat, you want some shelter, you go into prison. You go and work in the factory prison. Are you sick? How old are you? Oh, you're over 60. Sorry, love, we can only give you painkillers. And that's why, you know, I have so much against people like him, who I now, as I stated yesterday in my video, strongly suspect that the man is controlled opposition, a shill, a distraction, to maintain false narratives while appearing to be on your side. That's what controlled opposition does. Here he is now suddenly, you know, June 13th, 2020, warning people that they should stockpile food. People who are in abject poverty now, a lot of them, because they've got no job. Oh, now they're telling us to stockpile food. But like I say, it's impossible to stockpile food for 5 years. And that isn't going to help. You know, you might be able to stockpile enough food for 3 months, if that. What are you going to do after that? When there's martial law in and you've got no right to stand up for your rights. That's why, you know, I am not telling people to stockpile food now. I'm telling people to stand up for your rights, like this lady, 7, at Alfred Lambremont website. She's asking people to download this, your human rights. I'm asking people to get out on your doorstep, every community, every town, every city across Britain, and you do a clap and a cheer and make a noise in celebration of our human rights and in honour of the people who fought for them and established them. This is VE year. And in protest against this criminal no-deal Brexit that is of no use of anything to the average British citizen, regardless of which way you voted in the referendum, okay? Which is actually an attack against us all and a threat against our children's future, putting our nation in the hand of such evil characters, a set of criminals who actually hate humanity and hate us. Because it's celebration time for them, isn't it? VE year of all years, that finally they've thoroughly overturned and undone everything that the people of post-World War II established. Everything. Our NHS gone. We've got 7 million people now who've been denied healthcare on the strength of an alleged pandemic. 7 million people wait on a waiting list. So how many millions are going to be behind them? I tell you now, austerity killed 200,000 people in Britain. This 50 years austerity to come after Brexit. And what's happening now? We're looking at 1 million within the next 5 years dead. Directly because of the actions of this government and its hard Brexit and the lockdown. 1 million, and that is a mean estimate. That is a mean estimate. People have been found dead and starving in their homes. Starved to death in their homes from this, during this lockdown. BBC ain't telling you about that, are they? There's been a massive rise in deaths even with the doctored figures of COVID-19. It is outrageous. And you need to get with the facts. I will leave you the links. Check the links, get informed, share other people. Now, it's been scoffed at, this idea of us all getting on our doorsteps to make a stand for our human rights and say no to a hard Brexit. Because, you know, no government gives its country a hard Brexit. It is what a nation gets on being booted out of the EU. You know, nobody does it. Except a set of evil criminals who've been plotting and scheming against us from the very moment Attlee entered into office, when we the people told Churchill, out. And we had it our way, and now they're celebrating because they hate us, and they are going to enjoy stamping the boot in your face, coming taking children from our home. Oh, we're going to protect your child from coronavirus. Oh, sorry, your child died. Yeah, we've cremated it. No, there's going to be no inquest. No, sorry, we can't tell you anything. It's all classified. Go away. Seriously. And people wonder, you know, I get scoffed at because I express my passion. Nobody will hear you scream, Britain. You stand up for your rights. And it is the only thing that we can do, because what else can we do? Oh, are we all going to descend on London again and get kettled by riot police and allow agent provocateurs to cause violence? No, what can they do? You stand on your doorstep. You've been doing it every week for an NHS that actually has denied healthcare to people. An NHS that has been shut down. We've all been clapping for it. Now you clap for your human rights. Because that will tell this government where we stand. That we are united. Regardless of all the divisions that they've imposed on us. That they hope to keep us apart. We stand united for our human rights, because that's our heritage. Like that throne and the crown on the Queen's head are the heritage of the royal family. Our heritage is the sovereignty that is granted and supported to us directly through our human rights. Because without those human rights, we do not have any sovereignty. How can you say you're a sovereign citizen if you haven't got any human rights? If you're a slave to a global corporation? And they are calling themselves the coalition. Watch out for the shills, right? Yeah, the shills, they'll have you. Yeah, you just think about yourself, you know, go and stockpile your food. Oh, sign this petition. No, you stand up for your rights. And when the vast majority of people in this country are out on the doorsteps clapping for their human rights and saying no to a no-deal Brexit, that's when the people who have power to be able to address this situation will themselves be empowered to do it. But at the moment, they're literally cornered. And with silence from the British public, because silence is consent. So why should they put themselves out on a limb? Unless they know that we, the people, are behind them. And Jeremy Corbyn and all you who were around Jeremy Corbyn at the time, you need to stand up and speak out. Because like I say, we're talking about millions of lives that will be lost as a direct result of these people and the bets that they're making against the British economy. We know for a fact that you take money off people, you deny them healthcare, you steal their homes and their jobs and their businesses, and people will die. This is serious, people. Pull your mind, turn off that BBC, that evil BBC. You know, and that's why I was so annoyed with him, because, you know, I used to revere this guy. I was with the anti-vivisection movement, and, you know, when I found him on YouTube recently talking about coronavirus, telling the facts about it, I was absolutely delighted. And I sent him some information, and the very next day it was like, oh, no, don't get me wrong, I'm no Corbyn supporter. There he was, complaining about how the BBC was biased against Brexit and Trump. Complaining, right? We're in 2020. What difference does it make today and to the British people about whether or not the BBC was biased against Trump? Isn't it more important that the BBC was actually biased against Jeremy Corbyn and all the mainstream media with him? That if you compare the attack against Jeremy Corbyn to the attack against Trump, the attack against Trump looks like a pillar fight. The attack against Corbyn, it was literally persecution, and based on a pack of lies about his alleged racism and anti-Semitism. A guy who's been, supporting Jews all his life and spoken out all his life against racism, right? And that is why I strongly suspect it's a shill, because only a shill could come out with all the information that he obviously is aware of, but then sit there and complain that the BBC were biased against Trump. You see what I mean? That's why I don't trust the guy. And that's why I'm warning people, because these people are the most dangerous, because they suck you in. And you really, people, you open your heart to them. And it's hard to find out that, oh, look, no, not why you should stockpile food. Listen to these two here. Why you should stand up for your human rights. Because, not only have we got all that horror of the hard Brexit, the trashing of our health service now and economy through this alleged pandemic, we're facing Bill Gates' vaccine, being told that we've got to wear a mask every time we go out, and, we're still not allowed to stand close to members of our own family. Go away. This is nonsense. The approach to dealing with this new flu virus actually is more deadly and dangerous than the virus itself. And that cannot allow to be. You see, that is against the law, because that's an absurdity of the law when the remedy is actually worse than the affliction itself and actually threatens to kill far more people. Please, people, please, 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 stand up for your rights. Stand up for your rights. We cannot allow these people to steal everything that we fought so hard for. We just can't do it. And there is no other way except that we do it from our doorsteps now. Turn the tables on them. The very manner in which they sought to oppress us, we shall turn it around to our advantage and make our statement. And you watch, are the BBC going to cover it? Know who you are and where you stand in the struggle. And we need to lose the judgments against each other. I've seen the people, ridiculing, mocking the people who'd gone out to protect Churchill statues. Look, those people are obviously misinformed, okay? Because if they really knew the facts, they'd have been standing outside Downing Street. And we need to understand that. We need to show compassion and understanding to each other. Yes, people who express racist sentiments and have such hate and anger in them, it is disturbing to witness them. But, we have to understand what kind of mind control games have been played against people in this country to maintain those divides and turn us against each other. And who's profiting from it all? These set of inhumane people who will quite happily watch us starve and enjoy it. As Ian Duncan Smith punched the air with glee when his evil benefit cuts got put through and they murdered tens of thousands in literally months. How do you think that they can stand by and watch, sell bombs to Saudi Arabia when they know what's happening to people in the Yemen, when they can look at those starving children in the Yemen, but still sell bombs to Saudi Arabia? That they can, allow what's been going on in Palestine for so long, that they can literally steal the resources of Africa, have children mining their coltan in Africa at point of a gun. Slaves, they're buying children and abusing them and killing them. That is what is going on in Britain. Thousands of children every year. As I've shared, again, please people, be aware. Everyone, be aware. Wake up to reality. You stand up for your human rights. It's the only thing that we can do. It is our voice, our freedom of expression. You have a right to get on your doorstep and clap and cheer and make a noise and say no to Boris's no deal Brexit. Put a sign in your window. Like I say, whether you voted Brexit or not, you did not vote to be left starving for 5 years, to be facing your children, to be facing job prospects in a factory prison, to watch your relatives and children die because there's no health care. What? So that these people can be made even richer and hold on to their market and satisfy their depopulation agendas. Bill Gates, that we're all going to roll up our sleeves and be vaccinated like cattle with Bill Gates' experimental vaccine. Again, a man who hangs around with paedophiles. The lot of them love paedophiles. Because they are all child abusers. Because only child abusers could actually create and impose austerity on millions and billions of people on this planet while they live it up big in their big posh houses and look down on us and call us inferior. Stand up for your rights. Challenge this rigged election. We want a legal challenge, and Britain's security services step to it.